Question 6a says, find the apothem of the following regular polygons. And the first polygon they give us is a hexagon, so that is six-sided. So it's six sides, and each side S is equal to 8 meters. So the first thing we need to do then is find the apothem. And the apothem is equal to the side length divided by 2. Then that's divided by the tangent. So digging into some of your trigonometry from earlier days. 360 degrees divided by the number of sides. Then you take whatever that is and divide that by 2. So that's the formula. Obviously something you'd like to have on your memory aid. Now we can go ahead and put our values into that. So we've got 8 divided by 2. Then we're going to take the tangent of 360 divided by 6, thank you, and then that's divided by 2. So we get 4 divided by the tangent, and 360 divided by 6 divided by 2 gives you 30, and you run that through your calculator and you get 6.9, and we were given the distance in meters, so the apothem or the apothem is 6.9 meters. Okay, then moving on to 6b. This time they've given us, how many sides? We've got a 10-sided figure. 10 sides, S, which is the length of the sides, we're told is 1.2 centimeters. Taking our formula again, the apothem, so it's the side length divided by 2. So we've got the side length of 1.2. Dividing that by 2, and then that's going to be divided by the tangent of 360 divided by 10, and then that's divided by 2. So we end up with 1.2 divided by 2 is 0.6. That's divided by 360 divided by 10 is 36, divided by 2 is 18. So we're calculating the tangent of 18 degrees. Putting that into your calculator, you should end up with 1.85, and in this case we were told it's in centimeters. So the apothem, so that's the distance from the center point of the regular polygon out to the center of one of the sides, which is the apothem, is 1.85 centimeters. Part C. This time we've got a figure that has 7 sides, and the side length we're told, so S, is equal to 100 centimeters. The apothem, taking the side length, which is 100, dividing it by 2, and then dividing that by the tangent of 360 divided by 7, all of that divided by 2, you get 50, divided by the tangent, 25.7143. Do that division and you end up with 103.8 centimeters. Okay, moving on to D. This time we've got a side length. S is equal to 3 meters, and the number of sides is equal to 12. So we take side length divided by 2, divided by tangent, 360, divided by the number of sides, which is 12. That's divided by 2. So we've got 3 over 2, which is 1.5. And that's going to be divided by the tangent. 360 divided by 12 divided by 2 is 15. Putting that through your calculator and you end up with 5.6. And that is, I should have made note, that is meters. Fairly straightforward. Then they move on to question 7, where we're actually using that information in order to help us solve other problems. 7a. So it says, find the missing measures of the shapes below. And they're asking you to find the radius, the diameter, the area. They give you a circular table, has a circumference of 24.93. Okay, so the circumference is 24.93 feet. That's a pretty big table. Okay, so as well as circumference, you can also think of that as the perimeter. Either way, the circumference is equal to 2 times pi radius. So since we've been given the circumference, we've got 24.93. is equal to 2 pi r. So then we can find the radius by taking that 24.93 and dividing it by 2 pi. So in order to get rid of the 2 pi over there, we divide the other side by 2. We're dividing both sides by 2, so we get rid of it from one side and introduce it on the other. And then we can go ahead and do that on our calculator, and we come up with the radius is equal to 3.97 feet. Then the diameter is easy enough. That's just 2 times the radius. So it's 2 times 3.97, which is 7.94. And then we're asked for the area. Area is pi r squared. So we've got pi times r squared. So it's 3.97 squared. And doing that on your calculator, you end up with 49.51 square feet. So we'll save some space here and do them on the same screen. Part B says we've got a circular dartboard with an area this time of 333.12 inches. Okay, so area is equal to 333.12 inches squared, sorry. Now we're asked for what is the radius. So in order to solve that, we'll start off with our area equation. Area is equal to pi r squared. So we can say that 333.12 is equal to pi times the radius squared. We're going to divide both sides by pi so that we can get the r squared alone. So I'll also flip them around at the same time. So r squared is equal to 333.12 divided by pi. Therefore, r is equal to the square root of that, which we can carry on. R is equal to then the square root of 106.04. And therefore r is equal to, if you do that on your calculator, is 10.3 inches. Once you've got your radius, the diameter is 2 times the radius, so 2 times 10.3, and you get 20.6. And then finally, we're looking for the circumference. Circumference is 2 pi r, or you can do it as pi d, 2 times pi times 10.3. Multiplying that out, you end up with 64.7 inches. Then we move along to 7c. In this case, we've got an isosceles triangle where we're given the height is 12, meters, and an area of 48 meters squared. So that means, just as a refresher, it means we're dealing with a triangle where these two sides are equal, and we've been given the height in the middle there as 12. Sorry, a little bit of a small drawing. We're asked to find the base of the triangle and the perimeter of the triangle. So to find the base, we have to remember that we've got our formula that says height is equal to the square root of s squared minus 1/2 base squared. Sorry, and that's all. So we've been given the area as half the base times the height. We don't have the base, we do have the height, and we've been given the area. So once we've got that information, we can go ahead and multiply that 12 times the half. So we'll end up with 6b is equal to 48. Then we divide both sides by 6, and we're going to get 8 is equal to b. So we've got the base is equal to 8 meters. Then we're asked to find the perimeter, right? And once we've got the base and the two sides, do we have the sides yet? We don't have the sides yet, so this is why we need this other equation. We know we've got the height of 12 equal to the square root of s squared minus 1/2 the base. We've now got the base, and that's squared. So in order to solve this, I need to get the s alone, right? Because I've got a triangle. I've got the two sides because it's an isosceles triangle, and I've already found the base, that's 8. To find the perimeter, though, I need both sides plus the 8 to add them all up. So I need to find the s. To get rid of this square root, though, the first thing I'm going to do is square both sides. So I square 12 squared is 144, and then I get s squared minus Now I can go ahead and work that out. Half of 8 is 4, squared is 16. Once I've got that, I can then add 16 to both sides, so I end up with 160 is equal to s squared. So that means that s is equal to the square root of 160, which I can do in the calculator, and I come up with s is equal to 12.6 meters. Once I've got the side, I can then go back to my perimeter equation here. So I've got 2 times 12.6 plus 8, which gives me a total of 33.2 meters. So to recap again, I started off, I'd been given the height and the area, which allowed me then to use the standard formula for area of a triangle to find out the base length, allowed me to solve for b. Once I had that information, I could substitute that into the equation for height of an isosceles triangle so that I could get one of the sides by solving using algebra. Once I had that side, then I could go ahead and plug that into the perimeter equation, and I could solve to find the perimeter. So multiple steps involved to get to the final answer. So if you're using 48 is equal to base times height divided by 2, you can then multiply both sides by 2, right? Because you want to multiply by 2 to get rid of that denominator. You end up with 96 is equal to base times the height, which is 12. So then you're doing 96 divided by 12, which will still give you, you'll end up in the same place. Again, an isosceles triangle. So just as a reminder, we've got an isosceles triangle. The base is 16 meters. The area, told is 176 square meters. We've got our two formulas. So when I'm working with this kind of stuff, I often just write out the formulas and then figure out what information I have to figure out which formula I'm going to use first. So I know I've got my equation for height, and that is s squared minus 1/2 b squared. And my area for a triangle is half the base times the height, or base times height over 2, either way. So given this information, I've got area and I've got the base. So that tells me if I've got area and base, I'm going to start working with the area equation. So if I work with that, then I've got area, 176 meters squared, is equal to, so base times height, just 16, times the height divided by 2. So 2 times 176 gives me 352 is equal to 16h. And dividing that out, 352 divided by 16 is going to give me a height of 22 meters. Now that I've got that height information, I can plug that into this equation. So I've got 22 is equal to the square root of s squared minus 1/2 the base. And the base we've got as 16, and that's squared. So again, following the process, I'm going to square both sides to get rid of the square root symbol. 484 is equal then to s squared. Now I'm going to take this 1/2 times 16 is 8. 8 squared is 64. So I've got s squared minus 64. To get rid of the 64 on this side, I'm going to add 64 to both sides. So I end up with, and I'm going to switch them around. So s squared is equal to 548. I've got to do the square root of both sides so that I can get s. And doing that on my calculator, I take that down to 23.4. So the sides are 23.4 meters. Now I can calculate perimeter because I've got the base and the sides. So 2 times the sides plus the base. So I've got 2 times 23.4 plus 16. And I multiply that out and I get 62.8 meters. So this time we have a different kind of triangle. We're not told it's an isosceles triangle, it's just an irregular triangle. We're asked for what is the base of the triangle shown if the area is 36 square feet. So we've got an area, 36 square feet, and we're told the height is equal to 9 feet. Formula for area, half the base times the height, or base times height divided by 2. So I know the area, I'm told it's 36. And I'm going to half the base times the height, which is 9. I can go ahead and divide the 36 by 9, and I get 4 equals half the base. So base, in order to get rid of the half, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2, and I will get the base is equal to 8 feet. Part F asked us to find the height. Again, we've got this time a scalene triangle. We've got an area of 25 square yards, and we've got a base equal to 5 yards. Working with the area of a triangle again, area is equal to half the base times the height, or base times height divided by 2. We're told the area is 25. Got half the base. This time we know the base, which is 5, but we don't know the height, so we leave that as h. 25 is equal to 5 over 2h. I can get rid of that 5 over 2. I'm going to invert and multiply both sides, so I've now got 2 over 5 times 25 is equal to h. And multiply that out. H is equal to 10 yards.